Hi, everyone. This is Malin Barr from the movie Honeydew, and I'm here with the Horror Squad podcast.
Hello, welcome back to the Horror Squad podcast, episode number 254. Tonight we're talking about 2022 Smile, which is currently streaming on Paramount Plus in the US. I'm not sure about other spots. Same thing, cool. Or obviously you can buy the Blu-ray. I'm one of your co-host, Todd. We have Steve and we have Joe. Boys to men, how's it going?
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hey, how was your Thanksgivings, guys?
I forgot about that. That happened. For us, is last minute shopping. We were going to go to my aunt's house, but then we all got, the flu and all that. It's been a rough month for sicknesses everywhere. I guess everyone's getting sick, obviously. But overall, it was pretty good. Lots of food, hung out, watched that new Christmas Story movie. That was pretty much it. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, just went to my folks' house. We were supposed to originally go to my sister's, but she got COVID. COVID's running rampant again, apparently. Hulkamania running wild in this country. But so we ended up just going to my sister's. We pivoted, went over there. Pivoted, went over to my mother's, and yeah, we had a good time. Had the turkey, the stuffing, the mashed potatoes, and the Jello pudding, and a little
Cosby.
bit.
Too soon for
It got
America's
too soon?
Next Dad.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry. Okay, all right. But yeah, we had a good time. We had a very good time and watched the Patriots game Sunday night, and they lost, sadly, because I'm a Patriots fan. And that was about it. And then bought a Roomba for Cyber Monday. Yeah, so that's exciting. Never had a Roomba before, so I'll give a full report next week on my very first Roomba experience.
Just wait till it runs over dog shit.
Ooh, yeah, that actually. I didn't even thought about that. That's definitely gonna happen too, because Raven's old and she definitely has accidents. So, and then and I'm in the search for a new laptop right now. I'm actually looking at gaming laptops because I want to get into even heavier into the VR. So there's a lot of good deals going on right now. So I'm gonna make a decision by the end of the night, I think, and order one. So I'm looking at a Lenovo right now. I wish I brought this up last week because I probably could have had some of our listeners message me and tell me, if they're more tech savvy than me, that might have some more input. But I'm just going to have to go for it, read these Google reviews and see what happens.
If you want to do VR, make sure you get the right PC for VR because those, the Rift and all that shit are pretty extensive of what you need.
Yeah, no, I know. I was looking at all of the actual, like all the specs and stuff you want. So I think I found the right thing. So we'll see.
Very cool.
Awesome. I didn't have Thanksgiving, but I did have a Horror Squad hangout on Friday with a bunch of great people. We did our movie club and we talked about Better Watch Out, which is a Christmas horror movie that we all really liked. We're all like in the 7 to 8 out of 10 range. It's a really good movie. If you haven't seen it, it's playing everywhere. It's on Tubi, it's on Shudder, it's on a bunch of services. So I highly recommend it. I think it's a really underrated Christmas horror movie that people should check out. And something that's interesting about it is, that happened to me. It also happened to some of the other listeners that were on the call. It's good the first time, but it's better the second time. And I don't want to explain why, but it's one of those movies that just is better on a second viewing for a few reasons. So definitely check it out. We had a lot of fun. We started the voting for our next month. We're going to do an underrated 2022 film for our final movie club of the year. So if you want to join in on that fun, just join our Discord, completely free. Just ask us for a link. One discussion we did have is one of the listeners has been listening for like a year and a half, and she wasn't sure about what Discord exactly was. So a quick summary, it's basically just like a chat room with a bunch of really cool horror fans. It's not open to the public, like per se. So it's really just the people who are in that Discord page, and it really works like a chat room. You just chat there and it logs, so you don't have to be like always on there. You could just kind of go at any time of the day and just have fun with it. So it's a really cool app if you don't have it or you were apprehensive about it. So
I would also describe it too as like more like a forum from the past, I think we're all on forums back in the day, and we have subjects for like, non-horror, food talk, pet corner, reading, movie club, horror squad shit. So yeah, you can talk whatever you want. And usually people are pretty cool, right? So come on over.
Yeah, actually, right now on our Discord, as we're recording this, they're having a big debate over Smile and It Follows. So something I'm sure we're going to get into at some point during the episode. You guys are ready to get some questions? It's been a few weeks.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so you can ask us those questions on social media at the Horror Squad Podcast, or of course on the Discord, which I just mentioned. The first series of questions are from our boy Chuck, and they are audio questions. It's been a little while since we've heard his sultry voice. So Chuck, what is your first question?
Hey Horror Squad, Chuck here with a few questions. First question is, in Smile, it has a really late title screen, 13 minutes in. In my opinion, that's a little late, but it's following a trend of movies like Empty Man, Fresh, Mandy, where they're putting the title screen later into the movie. Is that something you enjoy, or do you like to get it over at the beginning, or even later? What are your thoughts on a late title screen?
Do I like it? Sure. Does it matter though? No, not really.
I agree 100%. And that's usually like a TV thing too, where they do a long extended cold open or something, and they got their title. But my daughter's like, oh shit, that was only the first scene. Yeah, took forever. Yeah, it doesn't really affect it though.
Yes, I'd say yes and no. I think it can affect it because when I watched a movie, I think it was called Bloody Oranges or something along those lines, the title screen doesn't come in until midway through the film. But I also knew, or had a gut feeling anyway, that once the credit rolled, it was like, okay, it's been safe here, but shit's about to get real as of now. And sure enough, it's almost like a warning, like, okay, we got you comfortable now, you're in your seat, you're having fun, let's fuck shit up. And so I like if people use it in a way that kind of signals something. I think Fresh was kind of the same way, right? Where it was all kind of almost romantic comedy. And then once the Fresh logo comes up, things get darker. And so if you use it in a way that's clever, I think it's great. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Barbarian did it too, I believe. Not as late, but I think it took about 5 or 10 minutes before we saw the title screen for that too. Here's my can you guys think of a movie that didn't have a title screen? I mean, I know it definitely probably has happened, but nothing is coming to my mind right now, whether it be horror or non-horror.
Top of my head, no. I'm thinking Psycho, but because that's kind of like a movie doesn't start till the movie starts, you know what I mean, with the shocking death at the beginning or near the beginning, but I don't think that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
But
I guess this adds to my other question of, are title screens even necessary? Because we were watching the movie, we know what we're about to watch. So, like, is it necessary? Does it add anything to the movie? I mean, I personally like seeing the movie title pop up. Like, I feel like I'm not officially watching the movie until the movie title pops up. But I don't know. I find it kind of interesting.
I like subtle stuff. I like little dialogue in like the bottom right corner of the screen, nothing. I mean, it works sometimes. I think which one had it where, oh no, that was at the end of the movie, right? Insidious just blasts you with that shit. Where's that at the beginning?
It's the beginning. Yeah. Both, yeah. I think, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. See, that's an example of like a really cool title where it just comes out and like fucking floors you. But usually I just like a little subtle action going on. Especially like when they have what did we watch recently where it was Maniac Cop, where it went on for fucking 9 minutes of him like freeze framing with like character names and putting a glove on. That shit's like, come on. I'll fast forward the fucking opening credits of movies if it's like that.
Yeah, so some opening credits are great. I did a full class in college about just opening credits of TV shows and movies, and it was super fascinating when you really like break down the movie credits. I think they're great, but if we're talking just the title, is it necessary? No, I don't think it's necessary. Like you said, you should be knowing what movie you're going into, so there's no need for it. But like Todd said, it could be used in a really clever way, just like Insidious, where it just like pops up on the screen with that loud kind of scary noise and stuff like that. So no, it's not necessary, but yes, I think it could add to the film as well.
What about people that say the title in the movie? Like, what are we, some kind of Suicide Squad? Fucking Will Smith, Suicide Squad 1.
It depends how they do it, you know? Like some of them are just so bad. It's like they shoehorn it in, but sometimes they make it like clever, you know? So
what is he, some kind of barbarian?
Yeah, they did that for the series finale of The Walking Dead. Where they
I thought they did. I thought Rick said that in like season
second
2
time. It's the second time they say it. Yeah, Rick said it in one of the seasons, and then Daryl says it in the finale. So
let me do what Daryl probably said. I was The Walking Dead.
Yeah, he actually repeated Rick's line like in his honor. So
nice.
Yeah. So.
Steve, are you gonna give like your in-depth thoughts of the finale during what watched, or
I could. I have 2 others, but I could go into it. I just won't go into spoilers because TV shows, you know, it's not like movies where a lot of people see them quick. You know, it might be a while, but I'll at least give my overall thoughts about what I felt about this series finale. Yeah.
Awesome. I quickly looked up movies that did not have a title card. And interestingly enough, the only, I guess, horror adjacent one that popped up is Ghostbusters 2. Apparently did not have a title card.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah, I think the
logo pops up.
I think the logo pops up with the 2, but technically it never says Ghostbusters 2. Yeah. Also, we have.
What am I watching?
That one. I feel like that one's kind of cheating. Also, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Batman Begins, which I find interesting. Apocalypse Now, Inception, Vanilla Sky, and Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl.
They all had like a trend until Pirates of the Caribbean, because the other ones are like, you know, fucking Mind Trips, 2001, Inception, things like that. But yeah, Black Pearl and whatever.
All right, Chuck, what is your second question?
Second question. The biggest thing for me about this movie was the viral campaign that led up to it. Last movie that I can think of that had an amazing viral campaign as such was Freddy vs. Jason, when they did the whole weigh in and, you know, who do you got kind of thing. Can you think of any other movies that have had an impactful advertisement that made you go, oh my gosh, I've got to go watch this movie?
Yeah, Freddy vs. Jason's a great one, and Smile, absolute amazing.
What did they do for Freddy vs. Jason? I don't remember.
They had weigh-ins and stuff.
Yeah, they had
stuff. Okay.
the Las Vegas weigh-in. It's amazing, which you can watch on YouTube. It's still on there. Yeah, I mean, that is the one that definitely sticks out. There was actually a big thing here in Boston when the Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie came out. As a marketing scheme, they put up these, I don't know the character because I never really watched that movie, the show or the movie, but they had like this weird robot looking dude or something, and they put them all over the city without telling anyone, and people thought they were bombs, and they had to shut the whole city down, and it was like a huge thing. You know, this happened, whatever this was, maybe 8 or 10 years ago this happened, but that is one that definitely sticks with me.
Yeah, I think the GOAT would have to be Blair Witch Project, right? You're talking a no-budget film that really took, you know, the world by storm by just pretending that it was real. So I think that's definitely one. And we have to give a shout out also, you know, whether you like it or not, Cannibal Holocaust kind of did the same thing way before. Doesn't get the credit for it, but they definitely did the same thing. They even hid the actors so that people would think they're dead. You know, it's like really going above and beyond. So that might be the first example I can think of a viral campaign.
Yeah.
All right. Chuck, what is your final question?
One more thing that this movie had going for it, in my opinion, was a pretty fantastic score. It had an eerie feel to it the entire time. Even when I was leaving the theater as the last one in the theater, I looked over my shoulder and looked back at the screen like, wow, that's eerie during the end credits. What are your favorite scores of all time? And have you seen any movies lately that have had an impactful score such as Smile? Thanks, guys. Look forward to the episode. Have a good one.
Great question. Yeah, I mean, a score definitely can make or break a movie. Absolutely. I talked about it last week with Retaliators for the wrong reasons. Most recently, The Witch definitely sticks out. I mean, I think it was basically its own character in that movie. Mark Corbin in general, I mean, between The Witch and The Lighthouse and also The Northman, just fantastic scores all around. right there. Also, Midsummer, fantastic score. Yeah, basically A24 for me.
All the classics for you. You know, the Conjurings and the Insidiouses do a great job, man, especially utilizing some of those older creepy ass fucking songs that are already creepy as they are, but when you add them in context of like ghosts and stuff, it really hits the spot.
One that really like marks me, and just hearing two notes of it would immediately remind me of that movie. And I think that's key for some scores. You know, if you know it immediately, it's pretty good. That's the It remakes. So It Chapter 1 and 2. That noise
Wah, 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 wah.
right. That noise that makes when Pennywise appears is so iconic. You know, I think a lot of people would recognize it. So it kind of shows just how good that score was. Other than that, though, I mean, there's good ones, but I think Jordan Peele's films have good scores. You know, Nope had a really good score, and Get Out and Us and stuff like that. So there's some good ones for sure. But it could also, like you said, Joe, it could definitely break a film too. Like I don't remember an example off the top of my head. I've talked about it in the past where a score was bad, and I think it ruined the movie. So it's just the way it is. All right. So thank you, Chuck, for the questions. We really appreciate them. And the next question are from Mondo. So he says, who wins in a fight between Mama from Barbarian and the tall ass woman creature entity in this film?
Pretty similar, honestly. But I mean, I think I'd have to give it to this one for sure, for obvious reasons, which I'm sure we'll get into later. But, you know, she kind of has the supernatural thing going for her. So I think she takes it.
I'd 100% agree. Yeah, you got supernatural wins over flesh and blood. Maybe Justin Long, though. If they're fighting over Justin Long, who knows? We'll see.
Exactly. I agree. You know, you can't defeat supernatural. It's just the way it is. So absolutely. And his next question, which design did you like the best out of the two?
Can we also throw in the old lady from It? Because I feel like after when I watched this, I was like, that looks like just like the old lady from It. I feel like they kind of ripped it off a little bit. But I'm going to go Barbarian just because I feel like it was just, you know, practical. So
yeah. You know, different reasons, you know, like Smile was more creepy in the dark kind of stuff, and then Barbarian was literally runs out of the dark with a titty swing, bashing Skarsgård's head in. So I think Barbarians caught me off guard more. So I'll go with Barbarian on this one, but I think they're both excellent.
I'm going to agree with Barbarian because it freaked me out more. Like, she was creepy. Whereas this one, I thought it looked a little goofy, which we'll go into my review a little bit later. So I think in this case, Barbarian would win. And his final question is a fuck, marry, kill. The mama from Barbarian. Apparently he's obsessed with her.
He's really stuck on one thing here.
Yeah.
Breastfeeding.
The entity thing from this movie.
Okay.
And Chuck. His three loves right there. So
so random. Well, I'm gonna marry Chuck, obviously, because you know he's a little teddy bear, so he keep me warm at night, snuggling. And then I guess I am going to fuck the Barbarian woman, because I mean I feel like she, you know, she just wants some, you know, tenderness, you know, so I feel like she'd be a better lover. And then I'm gonna kill the monstrosity and Smile.
It's a tough one because it's weird. Mondo's weird. Let's see. I'm gonna go exactly what Joe said, but for Chuck, marrying him because one, handsome devil. Two, Mama's cooking. I'm seeing way too much of it. I need it for myself. I'm coming over.
I'm actually going to be different from you guys. So I'm definitely marrying Chuck. I mean, that's the easiest choice ever. He's like a delight. But I think I would fuck the entity from this thing because at least from the belly button down, it's pretty normal, right? So if you can...
I don't know, man.
No, it's just like long legs with panties. There's no like, creepiness to it. Whereas Mama is full gross from head to toe.
She's ready to go though, bro. Like right now.
Right? Yeah.
Squirt some milk down there.
So that's my choice. So I'm going to be just a little bit different than you guys. The next series of questions are from Cody, Oddjob versus 007. Do you three think that you would have been able to escape the entity from this movie?
No. I don't think you can. I don't think it's possible. Well, we'll get into it, but
yeah. We'll get into it later because I think the person that now has the curse has the best opportunity to escape it based on the profession. But Yeah, you either kill somebody or kill yourself in front of somebody. Like, nah, that's pretty hard. I think. Well, we'll get into It Follows too later, so I guess we'll wait.
Yeah, and I agree. I don't think it's possible, at least that we know of right now. So probably not. And his second question: since everybody compares the two, which would you rather face, this entity or the one from It Follows?
It Follows because you shoot that fucker in the head, right? And he's dead. If I remember correctly.
Man, I gotta rewatch that movie. I don't remember a lot. I only saw it once and I was drunk, so I really gotta revisit it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I just remember like It Follows. Like I don't know. At least oh man, it is tough because with It Follows, yeah, you can get the fuck away from it and be like super far, but you know it's always gonna come back, even if it's like a year later or something. So it's always like there. Whereas this one, it's like okay, well, it's gonna like be around me for like 5 or 6 days, and then I'm gonna die. I don't know. I guess It Follows because I'd be able to live longer at least.
All right. And yeah, I mean, for me, it's an easy choice. At least It Follows, you got laid. So this one,
Yeah,
it
that
just
too.
gets passed on
True.
by tragedy. So fuck that noise. You know, at least
True.
you go out somewhat happy and It Follows. But yeah, we'll talk about more when we discuss this film about the world and the rules and all that stuff. So it'll be an interesting conversation. And our final question is from Jackie. Smile was the highest grossing horror movie of the year. They did an amazing job with the marketing campaign, but marketing aside, what do you think made this movie so successful?
How much did it make?
Like 200 something million?
200, over 200 million. It was insane.
Nice.
Wait about 45 minutes to an hour and you'll hear our answer.
Ooh, I like that. I'll tease.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you everyone for the questions. We could not do this segment without you. We really appreciate it. And now it's time for a coffee break with Deadly Grounds Coffee.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds Coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds Coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
All right, well watched.
Well, watch. Get them out.
All right, I'll go first because I have 3. Since I'm going to talk about The Walking Dead really quickly. So The Walking Dead finished its 11-season run, which took 12 years to finish because of COVID. And as I think a lot of people know, this isn't really the end of The Walking Dead. This is just the end of its main storyline because there's still Fear the Walking Dead. There's going to be 3 spinoffs. So we kind of knew going in that this wasn't really the end, but it is a final kind of momentous moment because I know a lot of people shit on The Walking Dead. It's almost like a pastime for horror fans, as they do for anything that's popular, but it still brought so many eyes to horror that, I mean, people should kind of praise it because of how many people from non-horror fans probably got into horror because of this show. So I think there's a lot to love about it. And personally, the show is great. It has some up and down seasons, but near the end, I think it got a lot stronger. And as far as the finale itself, like I said, I won't spoil anything because it's still too recent, but I think it did a good job. So we know that there are spinoffs. So there's some characters that we knew going in that would not die, which is a mistake I think that they made on their part. They shouldn't have announced the spinoffs beforehand. They should announce the spinoffs at the end of this show, just so that it wouldn't rob you of certain moments where there's one character in particular, which is my personal favorite. It looked like that character was about to die, but I knew that character had a spinoff, so there was no way that character was going to die. So it kind of killed the moment for me. But it had a somewhat happy ending, but also some big character deaths, and it was good. I really liked it. You know, it did enough to close the storylines that were on the main show, but also open up storylines for the future spinoffs. And it's one of the better series finales that I've seen in a while. You know, like a lot of the series finales that I watch are usually pretty fucking terrible. You know, I wasn't a big fan of the Game of Thrones one, wasn't a big fan of the Dexter ones, both of them. One of them was horrible. The other one was just like okay at best. It's hard to finish a show, and this one I think did as good of a job as it could. So a lot of nods to the series, a lot of little moments that were paid off that had been a long time coming, like some of them way back to season 2 or 3. So I think it was a good show, and if people got off the train at some point, I think it's worthy of rewatching. And it's super interesting because a lot of people left because of Negan, and Negan became by far the most interesting character on that show. Just an amazing character, great actor. So I think it's worth watching, and I think it's a worthy finale. Not like amazing finale, but worthy finale.
Alrighty. All right. So for my what watched, my first one, I watched season 2 of Chucky, which, of course, go back and listen to our season 1 recap, which we did about a year ago. I had high hopes for season 2 because I thought season 1 was pretty dang strong. And I got to say, this season started off not good, like at all. Like I was ready to honestly to jump ship, but the last few episodes really came back on pretty strong, and it definitely hooked me back in for season 3, especially the finale, which was a Christmas special episode, and they did some absolutely amazing stuff and some top-notch gore and kills in the last few episodes. They even did an Exorcist related episode with Chucky, which was fucking hilarious and also amazing. The show's goofy as fuck. You know what they're doing at this point. And, if you're into that, I think you'll really enjoy it. But if you're not, then, you probably would have jumped ship as well. But yeah, overall, they introduced Glenn and Glenda this season, which I wasn't feeling really that much. And I think that kind of hurt it. But they did get better towards the end. So yeah, overall, I think it was weaker than season 1 for sure. And I would leave it at about a 6.5 for the season in general. So we'll see what happens in season 3.
All right, my first one is 1982's Alone in the Dark, which is currently on Shudder. It stars Donald Pleasance, and he is a mental health doctor, and they hold like convicted murderers and shit in the lowest security prison of all time, which is so stupid. And then he gets a partner. A new doctor comes in, replaces an old guy that the patients really loved, and the patients, being mentally disturbed, thinks that the new doctor killed the old doctor. So now they want to escape this low-tech prison to go kill him and his family. Cool premise, but not a really good execution. I hated the main doctor character because how stupid he is, man. Like, one of the patients is a convicted child rapist and a murderer, and that character goes to the house and hangs out with the doctor's daughter, who's like 10. And then, nothing happens, thankfully, in the movie. But then when the doctor finds out, he's like, oh, well, he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't touch her. I'm like, what? Like, this, what are you talking about, man? Like, he doesn't take anything seriously, where these guys are like killing the mailman, hunting his family down. And he's like got this attitude where he just lets random people into his life. Like his sister or something brings home a boyfriend that she's met like for an hour. And he's like, yeah, you can stay with us. Yeah, these convicted murderers are outside, but you can come in and hang out with us. Like, oh, the twist isn't going to be this guy's one of the escaped convicts. It's like telegraphed from a mile away. Donald Pleasance is a treat. He's always good in everything, especially seeing him outside of Halloween. Fade to Black is a good one that I recommend with him for being really fucking weird. But overall, Alone in the Dark, it's a solid 2.5 out of 5. Not mad I watched it, but just completely unrealistic in the characters' like decision making. So that's Alone in the Dark over on Shudder.
Cool. All right. So my first movie of the day is a 2022 film that I watched over on Shudder, and it's called Blood Relatives. So this is a story of a vampire who's just kind of on the road doing his own thing. And all of a sudden, a teenage girl goes up to him and says, hey, remember, this woman that you fucked 18 years ago? Well, guess what? That's my mom, and I'm your daughter, and I'm also a vampire. So the story really picks up as this newly formed father and daughter go on the road as he starts teaching her what being a vampire is all about, because she's only like starting to get her vampire fangs and like the hunger, and she could still go out in the sun but not as much, and so she's just really starting out to be a vampire, and he teaches her the ropes, and it just follows them on this road trip as they go from place to place trying to find their place in the world. And that's about it. And that's actually the biggest issue with this movie, is that there's really no story. It's just about this father-daughter who go on a road trip and they learn stuff from each other, but there isn't like a bad guy. There isn't really much to the story. They're not going anywhere. There's no point to it all. It's just them kind of being with each other. Now it's a pretty good duo. Like, their dialogue is witty. The characters are really good. The acting's really good and all that stuff. So that's not really the issue. It's just because nothing really happens. I'm kind of like, okay, but what was the point of all this? It's just not really much to it. And something else that bothered me, and I actually, it bothered me so much. So the main vampire is Jewish. And I love that. I love representation. And I don't think I've ever seen a Jewish vampire before. So I was really curious, like, are there different rules for a Jewish vampire? Like, will a crucifix affect a Jewish vampire? Do they eat people? Because, like, part of the reason why they don't eat, I think it's pork, is, you know, certain reasons. So does that translate to humans? I have a lot of questions about a Jewish vampire. But really, all they did with this is every 10 minutes, he would say a couple Yiddish words. And so out of place, it was almost like they shoehorned it in. Just like he'd stop a conversation and be like, wow, he's a schlemiel. And then almost like not look at the camera, but like pause for you to know that he said something Yiddish. You know, it's really weird. It's a really weird thing that they did. And I really wish that we got like a Jewish vampire and that we explored that instead of what we got in this film. But that's just a weird kind of sidetrack thing with this movie. It's a decent flick, but I think it's mostly forgettable. So that's Blood Relatives over on Shudder.
That could have been really interesting if someone tried to use a crucifix on him and he's like, I don't believe in that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I know. There's
yeah.
so many because first scene they talk about him being a Jewish vampire. I'm like, okay, there's a lot of potential here. They could go a lot of cool places here, and absolutely not. It's just a few Yiddish words that you'll maybe learn throughout the course of this movie.
Interesting. All right, my last one tonight is a intro to horror movie called Wendell and Wild. This one is a Jordan Peele produced movie. It is along the lines of a Coraline type animation stuff. And this one is about a young teen girl who is driving with her parents one day, and a terrible accident happens, essentially, where the parents end up dying. She survives, and basically she kind of leads a life of, you know, rebellious, destructive behavior. And she is sent to this, you know, school to help she ends up going to juvie, and they end up, when she gets out, they send her to this school to kind of rehabilitate her. While at this school, she comes across this sort of thing that basically opens up the underworld, and she meets Wendell and Wild, who are these two demons played by Key and Peele, who say essentially, you know, we can bring your parents back, but, you know, in exchange, we want your soul. And she agrees to it. And from there, just mayhem, absolute mayhem ensues. There's a lot more involved with zombies and crazy, wild, dirty politicians killing people and stuff. It's pretty crazy for a kid, but it's definitely a kid's movie at the end of the day. Overall, I had a lot of fun with this one. It's certainly not perfect, but I think it's a great, fun, like Halloween season type watch to watch with your kids. The visuals are excellent. The movie is definitely way too long though. You know, at almost 2 hours, it was just stuffed way too much in there that I think they could have, you know, maybe brought this down to about an hour 15, hour 20, and I think it would have been a lot better. But as it stands, pretty solid. I ended up giving it a 3.5 out of 5 over on my Letterboxd, and yeah, I think overall a really fun watch.
Ready? Last but not least, I did watch Halloween 1 and 2, the originals, and Leprechaun, but I mean, that's been talked about so often. 3 solid movies, so I'll skip to Don't Worry Darling, which is definitely horror adjacent. I know Joe talked about it. Yeah, long story short, it's you know, the perfect household, the young hot couples all around the neighborhood. The girls are obedient and cook and clean all day and don't like ask their men any questions, stuff like that. The guys go off to work, are very secretive, little kind of culty kind of shit going on, and then it starts to unravel. And Florence Pugh, I always mispronounce her last name. She's like the good old housewife that starts questioning like the status quo, like why are we fucking so obedient? Why don't we get to know what's going on with the guy's work? Things like that. And then the story unravels where she's questioning every single thing. People start going missing. If you talk back, you go to the doctor, quote unquote, and get fixed, stuff like that. And I'll leave it at that because I know it's a fresh movie and people still want to watch it. For me, I was intrigued until it got to the ending, and I didn't dislike the reason for everything going on. I just felt that this movie would have been better in the hands of a more experienced filmmaker, because some of the stuff was like ripe for like tension building and things like that, but I thought some of the shots were a little bit amateurish, and then things just didn't make sense. Like there's a scene where there's a car chase And just before that, we learn this vital information about characters and what happens to them if certain things happen in certain situations. Sorry if that's confusing, but you have to watch the movie to find out. And then these people just crash into each other out of fucking nowhere. Like you're in the middle of a desert and you crash cars into each other. You're stupid. And then how do you escape this area? A lot of questions for that. How do you maintain this whole reality without a bunch of stuff breaking? It's a little bit impossible. So it's kind of took me out of the story, but Florence Pugh is a fantastic actress, and she carried the movie 100%. And if you're looking for a strong performance from a strong female character, you got one in that one. So that's Don't Worry, Darling, currently streaming, but I don't know where.
I think it's on Prime here in Canada. So
is it?
It might be for you guys too. So my last one this week is another 2022 film that I watched over on Shudder. And this movie is from Kazakhstan. So if you're looking for your letterboxd, country to knock off, this is a good one. And it's called Sweetie, You Won't Believe It. So this story follows two groups of people. The first group are kind of criminals. They're like traffickers, they're murderers and stuff like that. And they're kind of working on something. And then you have another group, which is three kind of loser guys who are going on a fishing trip. And, a bunch of stuff happens. And all of a sudden, the group of bad guys murder someone just as the fishermen are passing by, like on a float of inflatable sex dolls. And then they're like, oh shit. And they kind of look at each other, and the bad guys want them, to come over because obviously they saw the crime happen, and they start to run away. So it becomes a cat and mouse game of the bad guys chasing the group of losers who are fishermen. But then all of a sudden, this really badass crazy guy kills one of the bad guys in a really violent way. But they don't see it happen because he was kind of away from the group. So they think the group of fishermen are like these killers. So then they start taking it really seriously. It's not just we need to catch him and tell him off. It's we need to catch him and kill him. And the whole story revolves about these two groups kind of going after each other while this other guy is just fucking crazy and all sorts of gore and shit like that. So it's a really good film. I really enjoyed this one. It's a simple story. There's not too much to it, but the witty dialogue is great. The kills are actually really fun. There's some good gore. But more than anything, and something that's rare when I watch a horror comedy, I actually laughed out loud like 2 or 3 times. There are some moments that really made me laugh, and I enjoyed it. There's some weird shit in this movie too, which I don't want to spoil because I was like, what the fuck is going on right now? Because these other characters come into play that are super just almost like Greasy Strangler weird. It gets at a certain point. So I would recommend this one. Like, I don't think it's something I'd necessarily rewatch again or anything, but if you're looking for a cool Kazakhstan film from 2022, this one I would recommend. So it's Sweetie, You Won't Believe It over on Shudder.
Cool. All right. Pulling out those trivias. All right. So let me pull out the scores here. So far for the quarter, myself leading with 9, Joe 7, Steve 4 overall for the year, 62 for myself, 55 for Joe, 46 for Steve. Coming down to the wire, man. Someone's gonna make moves, make it now, or I gotta maintain my lead.
I already have a funeral set for my beard, so I'll go first.
You can dig deep.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to dig fucking deep to get in like 4 weeks. Hopefully, I could at least dig deep enough for the quarter, but I think the year is pretty much done for me. All right, you guys ready?
Yes.
Who did Stephen King play in Thinner?
Oh, he was the pharmacist.
Correct.
Good job.
Thank you. Okay, match the country of origin to the movie.
Okay.
Let the right one in.
Sweden.
Correct. I think Todd got it first.
Yeah, boy.
It's close though.
Good movie, dude. Isn't there a TV show now?
Yeah, well, did it start yet? I know it's coming.
It did.
Okay.
It started. It's on Showtime, I believe. I have not watched it.
No, it's so much right now. It's just like
it's so much. It's
It's like you can't watch it all anymore. Yeah.
All right. In A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge, everyone's favorite, which I actually do like. How many years have passed since Freddy was defeated by Nancy in the first film?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I'll go 8 years.
8 years is on the board. That is incorrect.
1 year.
1 year's on the board, incorrect. I would have given it to someone if they're within 1, but both of you guys missed it, and that's 5 years.
Oh, right.
Okay.
5 years. Thank you, Kayla, with your brain teasers.
Got any more brain busters?
She's got fucking pages of them.
Thank God.
Yeah.
What event occurred in New York City that caused Seymour to find Audrey 2?
Oh man. There was there a meteor strike?
No.
Fuck.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say too, Todd. Interesting.
It's been a minute since I've seen that.
Was there an earthquake?
Wrong. You guys one last guess?
Yes. Was there a volcanic event?
Wrong.
Damn it. We're going through all the natural disasters here.
Not many left.
A
Flower sale or something stupid, probably.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So the answer was an eclipse.
Oh, shoot. Okay, don't remember that at all.
So
solar or lunar?
Just a total eclipse. I think it's
Total
it's
eclipse in
lunar.
my heart.
Yeah.
Total eclipse of the fart, Michael Scott.
Right.
All right, back to me.
Yes.
All right. Okay, what is the name of the cult in Hereditary?
Naked old people.
Yeah.
Hanging dong cult.
I don't. The Illuminati. I have no idea.
It's probably like Azul or something.
I only watched it once in theaters, so
I've seen that one 2 times, I think. I don't know what the cult name is.
Yeah.
Hale Payman.
Hale Payman. Oh shit!
King Pay. I know, right? King Payman's cult.
I prefer naked old people hanging dong. All right, we gotta be rapid with this one. This is an easy one. In which Friday the 13th film does Jason Voorhees kill a character by punching their head off?
8. Manhattan.
You got it.
Yeah.
Correct. That is correct.
I love that scene.
That guy almost takes him, man. He gives him a couple.
Yeah. I love
punches. It. Give the old calls try.
It's the highlight of that movie.
Hey, that movie fucking sucks ass.
Yeah, but that
I hate
it was cool.
Yeah.
It's because he's actually in Manhattan for
7 minutes.
Yeah.
I like when he kinks the punk's radio though. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's funny. After Johnny and Sarah's date in the Dead Zone, what does Johnny spend the next 4 years doing?
Masturbating.
Correct.
Just beating it furiously.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen the Dead Zone. So
Really?
Dead Zone has
can't
that
help you with
dude,
this one.
right? With the guy. Forget his
Right.
name.
That's correct. Yes,
That's correct.
The
I
movie
get
with the
2
guy.
That guy with the hair.
You know that one dude, the white guy.
Mhm.
Isn't it? What's his face from Halloween
yeah.
Kills?
For Halloween Kills.
Who am I thinking of? Or is it
the Dead Zone is oh my god.
your
Yeah,
daddy sucked the skin
exactly.
up his
Yeah.
ass? Okay.
Christopher Walken.
It's rocking, yeah.
Okay, who am I thinking of though? That from the Halloween Kills guy that everyone hates because he fucking ruins the party. I don't know. Fucking forget it. Let's
Okay.
move on.
Wait, what?
So anyway, the answer to the question was he was in a coma.
Ah.
we
that's great.
should have got that if we fucking watched. I don't think I've seen it either.
He gets in a car wreck, right? And then you can see dead people.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, maybe.
Okay,
I
which
have
is
to.
the one where he sees like the end of the world and like the president, if he gets elected, will nuke everything. Which one's that?
Is that like prophecy or that prophecy?
Is
or
that prophecy?
Or
Yeah, that might
prophecy
be
something?
prophecy.
Yeah.
Okay, I had him confused.
Something with prophecy in the title. I forget. There's prophecy, the prophecy, and then there's something prophecy. It's
Too
one of
many
the three.
prophecies.
Yeah.
Prophecy.
Right.
All right. My turn?
Joe.
Oh, Joe's turn.
My turn. Okay, 2-parter.
Oh.
Well, bonus.
Okay.
So we get
you can
2
get
points?
You can get 2 points here.
Oh,
Jaws won how many Oscars? And bonus point if you can name the 3 Oscars that they won.
3.
well, 3. Okay.
Oh wait, oh shit! I just fucked up the
Oh my
question.
god.
All right, well, never
Oh.
mind. Let's redo this.
That's hilarious.
Bonus point.
Okay, sorry.
That's too good.
Oh god. Classic Joe. Well, give him the point. Who cares? And then
No,
if you
I-
can name-
I'm not
up.
going to win anyways.
Okay, fine.
my God.
Just can I just?
I'm
guess
giving
the
him the
3?
point, and then Joe can ask another question.
Can I guess the 3 just since?
Guess
try
them.
to get
Okay,
that-
okay. All right, here we go.
All right. So score.
for sure.
Oh, hold on. Now I got to find the question again.
Score, yeah, definitely score.
Score adapted screenplay.
Oh, wait, yeah, okay. Probably just Google it faster than Joe can find it.
Right.
Okay, go ahead. Score, yes.
Score adapted screenplay.
No.
Okay.
Oh,
there you go. All right.
So
Best sound
score.
mixing. Best
Damn it,
film
Joe. Let me
editing.
guess. You son of a bitch.
Yeah, that was it.
All right, ask your second real question, but Steve still gets the point for getting 3 before I did.
All right. Well, now I lost my other question. Okay, what is Andy's last name in Child's
Barkley.
Play? Correct.
The
Yeah,
one
that's
name that we can get.
Yeah. Okay. This is geared towards Steve, and it's wordy. So let me take my time here because I'm a child. Egon discovers information about Ivo Shandor and the cult of Gozer worshippers in which book?
It's oh my god, I have the book too. It's
Dig deep, dude.
Tobin's Spirit Guide.
You got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a deep one right there. Dang.
I actually I got the book in Horror Block.
Is it an actual thing or is it just the cover?
No, it's the whole thing.
That's cool.
It's just like monsters that they, totally made up. I'm sure. There's, still pretty cool.
Yeah,
and that's it.
That's all. We're done.
That's it.
Oh, big night for Steve. 3, myself 2, Joe 1 with for the quarters, me 11, 8-7. Let me add up the scores. 2, 1, 3. Which overall, myself and Lee still 64, Joe 56. Steve with the power comeback 49. I believe in Steve. I'm gonna go on limb and say that. But now we need to talk about Ishmael. Directed by Parker Finn, 2022. Once you see it, it's too late. After witnessing a bizarre traumatic incident involving a patient, Dr. Rose Cotter, which I thought she kept saying her last name was Connor the whole time, which reminded me of Terminator, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. Dr. Rose Cotter starts experiencing frightening occurrences that she can't explain. As an overwhelming terror begins to take over her life, Rose must confront her troubling past in order to survive and escape her horrifying new reality. So this movie starts off with a older mom type age figure, obviously going through a suicide attempt or something where she's passing away in front of a young daughter. Transitions to our lead character Rose, who is clearly that young character that we saw earlier, witnessing her mother passing away or struggling to live, I should say. She is an accomplished psychiatrist and she's working at a hospital. She's working fucking 26-hour shifts, things like that. And she meets with this character that comes in and immediately starts having delusions, paranoia, things like that, that she's an entity that's out to get her. It looks like people, it wears their faces, it smiles at me, things like that. And it told her that she was going to die. So of course, Rose is like, oh, you're suffering from delusions, blah, 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 until the character slowly slices her own throat right in front of her and kills herself in the doctor's exam room, which kicks this movie off into motion. We are introduced to a detective character that obviously had a relationship with Rose in the past. They kind of have like a little back and forth going on right there, and he's interviewing about what happened so they can tell the loved ones what went on with the character that killed herself. We meet A-Train from The Boys, who is Dr. Rose's boyfriend, and we learn about that relationship where he's like, you're having a stressful day, blah, blah, blah. And as the story continues, she starts seeing visions and hearing things, and he totally checks out from the relationship and takes off. Her relationships with her family start to suffer because she's seeing stuff that's not there. She's ruining like kids' birthday parties, which we'll get into a little bit later. And I'll leave it at that. We follow the character as she tries to uncover, is there actually a sinister creature that takes over your body and makes you kill yourself in front of people? Or is it just delusions because she did have that? She did witness that traumatic event when she was a kid, was seeing this new traumatic event. Was that bringing up the old past? And now she's kind of losing her handle on reality. So we follow her character as it does that. Overall, for me, I think it was a bit too long, but overall, I really enjoyed it. And I'll pass it to one of you.
Yeah. So based on the trailer, I went in with fairly low expectations just because the trailer didn't really grab me, and it just seemed like one of those, basic jump scare movies that they throw out there, usually get about 2 or 3 of them every year. Like, it really feels like a January release, if you know what I mean. Like, they dump these movies in January that kind of look shitty. So I was like, but what I mean, it fucking was getting, made 200 million in the box office, and I saw a lot of positive stuff on it online. So I was like, well, let's give this a whirl. And overall, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this one. Is it perfect? Definitely not. I mean, it definitely is filled with, your jump scares and stuff like that. Albeit, I mean, I think the jump scares were fairly effective in this one. I mean, of course, there's some cheap ones. And I think if you watch the trailer, that probably hurts the movie because some of the better jump scares were definitely in the trailer. Which kind of is a bummer. I feel like if I didn't watch the trailer, I probably would have got even more, but it did get me a couple times. So that is a good thing. I thought the intro to this movie was fantastic. I really loved it. I think the fact that this one actually had a story, albeit thin, it kept me interested, because a lot of these jump scares, it's pretty generic story-wise, but I think this one was a little more interesting. Now, don't get me wrong, it definitely was a Ring/It Follows ripoff in a lot of ways, but I think it was, still interesting enough, held my attention, and overall, I dug this one.
So everything you described before, Joe, like this being kind of the formulaic January release that we see 2-3 of a year and relies too much on jump scares and everything, that's how I felt about this movie. I think it's a okay movie. Like I enjoyed watching it once, but I didn't love it, and I think the problem is, like you said, first of all the best moments are in the trailer. Like there are very few moments outside of the trailer that I could point to and say, okay, that was pretty cool. Everything that I really loved about this movie was in the trailer. And another problem, a lot of the stuff that I liked was in the first half hour of the movie. So once we passed that half hour, there's really not much that really excited me. There was nothing that I enjoyed about it. I thought they did way too many jump scares, and I thought a lot of them you could see coming a mile away. Like it was so obvious that they were going to do a jump scare. The best one by far is one we saw in the trailer. It's the one when the sister comes to the car and her head spins kind of backwards and kind of shows herself in the car window. I thought that was the best jump scare that this movie could have had, but because I knew it was coming, I've seen the trailer 3-4 times. It played in front of every fucking movie I've seen for the last year. So I didn't have a choice to watch this trailer. It's not like I sat down at home and watched it. And it just completely ruined it. And I thought the formula was I've seen it before. Like you said, it's a mix of The Ring and It Follows. It's also a mix of a lot of those movies. I don't remember the title. It's kind of bothering me, where a group of people do some kind of curse in a barn, and all of a sudden they start killing themselves out of nowhere.
Truth or Dare?
I think it is Truth or Dare. It's like the same movie. I think they also even smile in that one to show that they're about to die. So it's like I've seen it. I've seen all this before, and I was hoping that maybe at the end they would offer something that would make it unique out of the other ones. And to be fair, no, the end was just bland to me. So I think that's my review of the whole thing. Is I thought it was really bland.
Mm-hmm. So I think where the movie definitely loses me a little bit, because I was really on board with this movie until the end. I feel like the message started getting jumbled. So we come to find out, of course, that essentially this thing gets passed on by trauma. Like you see something horrific happen, and it's basically, a PTSD thing that it just, it sticks with you. And essentially you have to do something horrific to someone else in order to pass it on, or this thing is going to consume you, which I thought was great. And I thought was really interesting. But my problem with it was, the end, because I feel like, it's showing that, okay, you can beat, trauma, right? And you can move on with your life, but that doesn't happen here. So I feel like, okay, well then that completely negates, the nice message, I suppose, that we were supposed to get. And I feel like she should have survived. And I feel like the studio interfered and was like, well, we need like a twisted ending or something like that. Because I feel like, you know, the message became jumbled and it lost me there.
See, I thought they went in a less predictable route, because when I saw her boyfriend, who's A-Train from The Boys, I don't remember his actual name, and then the cop, I'm like, all right, she's gonna kill one of these dudes. Like, that's gonna happen, and then it doesn't. Like, those guys both live, right? And then now the curse is passed on to the cop. So I thought her not living was refreshing, because this looked like it was gonna be like, all right, she's gonna live, it's gonna be a happy ending, and we're done. And you know what? Like, I just ended up having a good time with this movie. Like, yeah, like I agree with you guys. We've seen the plot a bunch of times, story beats a bunch of times. I mean, even some of the stuff from like Conjuring, like where you see a figure in the back and it's like kind of dark and you can't see it, but you see the creepy face. It's really effective scene. I loved it, but have we seen it multiple times even in the past 2 years? Absolutely. So I think it did a lot of things that other films have already done well, and it mirrored it, and it did it well itself. I mean, did it bother me that it was same plot we've seen? Not really. I just had a good time with it. And I feel that the cop character, since we know if we just kill somebody, it skips you, right? Because you don't have to kill somebody in front of somebody. Someone doesn't have to watch that murder, do they? They didn't really explain that though.
No,
But
someone has to see it.
Someone has to see the murder?
Someone has to see the murder. Yeah. Another person
okay.
has to see it.
Okay. So
yeah,
that was my thought process then, because I
well,
thought
and here,
you can just kill somebody.
Well, here's my other thought. Like, what if you just like kill yourself? Like, does that end everything?
By yourself? Like in private?
Yeah. Yeah. If she went into that cabin and she killed herself, does that, I mean, because it can't pass on after that, right? So that just ends the curse. So someone, there just needs to be a martyr, right? I would think.
Well, like with It Follows, we don't, which is a big problem I had with It Follows, is like the rules aren't explained. Like in It Follows, you can be like the creature, you can see the creature if you put a fucking sheet over him or something stupid like that, and you can shoot the creature in the head, but then it can also come in. So like the rules aren't explained enough for us to have these answers. And the cops, I think it was a cop, or maybe it was a prisoner that she went to talk to that had cheated the system, said he had researched it happening in Brazil. So maybe it like just jumps like randomly, like wherever the beast or whatever you want to call it wants to go, it goes to. So, but I was thinking too, like, yeah, do we need a martyr to just kill himself in private? Same thing with It Follows. Like, do you just live on a boat until you die? Because it's not like the fucking guy's gonna swim out to you, or maybe it will. I don't know, but not enough info.
Counterpoint: can you kill yourself with this thing following you? Because one thing they use in this movie, which just fucking drives me nuts, because it's such a cliche in horror films, where you think something is happening, but it's just a dream or a vision. And it happens a lot in this movie. And I'm wondering if the Smile character, or the entity, or whatever you call it, will let you kill yourself, or just make you think you're killing yourself, and then you actually not killing yourself, you know? So who knows? And that's one of the other problems with this film. And another one that I have is a lot of the characters and story threads that come throughout this film don't really amount to anything. A-Train just disappears. We don't really see him for a while. Psychiatrist disappears. Doctor doesn't really do anything. The head doctor there, the one, Calpen, they just kind of go. You know, they don't really have a purpose other than just being there to try to stop the character and tell them that they're crazy, which, you know, we don't need 4 characters to tell us that. It's just, I don't know. It just didn't do it for me.
We don't use that word, Steve.
Dude,
yeah, that's what they're using.
I think the doctor says that at one point. We don't use that word.
I'll tell you what sold me on this movie as being good, and I think one of the best scenes of the entire year. Spoiler alert!
Entire year.
End of the year episode, but that birthday party scene was fucking phenomenal. I loved every second of it. Seeing that, you knew that dead cat was going to be in that birthday present, and then just the anxiety like I felt watching it, where everyone's just kind of looking at her like she's crazy, and then she falls through the fucking pane of glass. That scene was just chef's kiss. I loved it. Yeah.
What happened to the train though? I'm just kidding. I don't.
Well, one gripe about that scene, and it's very minor.
Freaking Grinch tonight, Steve.
Yeah, it's very minor, but I don't know why this marked me, and I really hated this. Did they really have to show you that it was mustache? Like, they had to show the collar as if we fucking didn't know? Like, how stupid do you think your audience is we see a dead cat. We've only one cat established in this movie. Do you need to show a close up of the fucking collar to be like, oh, it's Mustache, not just some fucking random cat? I hate when they do shit like that.
2 points here. A-Train, smartest man in horror this year. He just bounced and he lived, right? And then 2, funniest scene for me unintentionally was when, and I agree, the trailer ruined that shot of the head just breaking and falling backwards. But the funniest scene right after that, when it panned out and the fucking kid was watching her freak out in the car and screaming, and he's just like, oh my God. I thought that was so freaking funny. Like, that kid's fucked. He picked up the dead cat at his birthday party. His aunt's like freaking out, screaming in the car. Like, he's gonna have a rough life now. Like, poor little bastard. Which would have been a good twist if it happened in front of him, and then we have to see what happens. Like, the creature choose him now, or whatever.
Yeah. But back to the husband character, the fiance character, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Like, is he a dickhead? Like, I mean, he didn't ever seem to really show much support for her, like, whatsoever. And then he did just kind of like bounce. And this is supposed to be like your fiance. Like, I mean, I thought that was kind of fucked up.
I mean, from his perspective, like, she's doing not so sane things, right? Killed the cat.
Right. And he did try to do the right thing by like calling the psychiatrist and stuff like that. I don't know. And then like,
I think it's illegal too. I don't think the psychiatrist can talk about her shit with him. So
no, absolutely not. Well, she told him though, and then he called the psychiatrist. Like, after she told him that she was seeing things, when she had the conversation with him.
So
yeah,
the psychiatrist
and
didn't give her all the patient.
No. And then and then we didn't even get into it. Like, obviously the what we come to find out too is that her mother was also dealing with like mental issues, and then she committed suicide too, which like I thought was like interesting once again. Like, they had like a really good story going there with the whole PTSD and mental illness and stuff, and that it can be defeated. And then yeah, I mean, that ending still kind of like rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, that was an interesting story thread that I did like, is that everybody who got this curse experienced something way in their past that was similar to her. They all saw someone important in their life die. One of them says that, I forget, I think it's the guy that she goes to the house there as a reporter, says, yeah, you know, he lost his brother at a young age and that really messed him up. And the other guy is like, yeah, I saw my father pass away when I was, you know, it's like they all had some kind of trauma when they were kids that involved death as well. So it's not as random maybe as we think.
Except for the cop, we don't know enough about him.
Right. And that's another problem with the film, is that it kind of, it doesn't tell like a complete story in a way, you know. We don't really know much. It's really setting up a sequel, which is
I think they're 100%. Yeah, I think they're 100% setting this up to be a franchise, and obviously they are now. Now that it made $200 million, yeah, I think we're gonna get about 4 or 5 more smiles, and I'm sure the story
keep
will
smiling,
unravel. Whether you like it or not, I personally think 1 was probably enough, but I don't know. I mean, I think there's enough. I personally, Steve, I know you didn't like it, but I liked the non-reality parts in this movie, which I usually don't like either. I don't like dream sequences and stuff like that in movies, and I feel like they're a cop-out, but I feel like it worked in this movie because this demon, or whatever the hell you want to call it, is playing games, and I liked not knowing what was real and what wasn't, and then when they take you to the reality, you're like, oh shit, like that. So I kind of liked that it kept me guessing.
Yeah, it's just they overused it. That's all I feel.
Fair.
Yeah, fair point. I'm more on Joe's side of things with this one. I thought the movie just worked. You know, like I said, it repeated a lot of things, sure, but I would have liked more rules being established. You know, but I think this one, and we can get into the comparing with It Follows, I think this is a superior movie over that one. I always didn't like the kind of like pompous attitude as long term, but what It Follows had, and that one definitely didn't have any fucking rules, because like they changed from scene to scene. It seemed like. Someone asked a question earlier that we were supposed to answer now. I forget what it was.
It was, what do we think, other than the marketing, made this movie so popular?
Oh, it's just I think it's just one of those movies that just hits at the right time. You know, it was kind of a lull. Halloween sucked ass, and then this one came out and had some really good viral marketing and got people interested. And I think it just hit at the right spot.
I think it worked because it is a quintessential horror movie for people who aren't horror fans. Like, it just is the perfect word of mouth horror movie. You're like, oh my God, like go and watch Smile. It's so scary because of all the jump scares and stuff like that. I mean, obviously we're so used to it because we watch so many fucking horror movies. But for the people who, you know, just casually go out and watch a horror movie, I feel like this is like kind of perfect for that type of, you know, fun jump scare type. Is this R or PG-13, by the way, too? Because I feel like this is perfect. Okay, because I feel like this is perfect for like the teenage audience too.
My 13-year-old gave it a 5 out of 5, and she watched.
Yeah, I'm sure she loved it. Yeah,
she watched Barbarian with me, which she gave it 4. And I forget what other Scream she didn't like, so she's got a pretty good track record. But yeah, she was into it because, like, perfect point you just said. We watch this stuff all the damn time, so someone that like here and there, this is fucking perfect. It's got jump scares, it's got blood, it's got weird stuff.
So, what do you guys feel about the final? Like creature, you know, when the mom is the demon, because I heard both of you guys say at some point that you really liked the creature design, whereas I thought it looked kind of goofy. It reminded me a little bit of Death Note. I don't know if you know what that creature looks like. Kind of big eyes, like almost cartoony, like anime, you know, like a little too big, the big mouth, the big eyes, the big, I don't know, and it was a little like when she takes off like her face, right, and reveals like the gross skeleton under it, like it had still muscles and blood and stuff. I thought it looked a little fake, like CGI. I don't know, it just didn't do it for me at all.
I think it worked. I mean, granted, I didn't think it was perfect. I certainly didn't think it was perfect. Don't get me wrong, because it did remind me a little bit of the It design with the creepy old lady there. But I think it worked for this movie just because this creature thing can take you into pretty like fantastical scenarios and stuff like that. So I felt like she can kind of be whatever she wanted to be. And I thought, you know, it worked. And I thought I personally really liked when she ripped off her face and revealed the whole like skeletal thing. I thought that was really cool.
I agree, man. I think this is one of those Gretel and Hansel movies of this year, like where me and Joe like, and Steve just doesn't. I thought it was neat, and I didn't see any problems with it, man. I was into this movie the whole time, honestly.
Like I get why she ripped off her skin, you know, because she was done with her mom's skin and was getting into Rose. Is that Dr. Rose? Dr. Rose's skin?
Rose
because
Con something.
Yeah, exactly. Rose Connor. Let's just say Rose Connor, even though it's not. You know, she's getting into her mouth. That was the last scene that we saw with that creature. So it's almost like it was passing itself from like the mom to the Rose character, who will probably be in the sequel as the demon, because that's going to be the demon for the cop, you know, someone important to him. That's now it's her.
I didn't even think about that.
So that's why I felt that scene kind of represented. But I still didn't like the design. It kind of reminded me of, was it Mama? Was that a movie that was really similar to this too, where a girl is like being kind of haunted by her ghost mom, and at
ghost
the end,
that like doesn't show up in light or something like that.
Yeah, but you see it at the end, and it had kind of similar thing, but it had more like dark black hair and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know, it just didn't do it for me.
Just didn't do it for you.
Yeah, I was like, we didn't even really talk about the main character, some of our main characters here either. I mean, Dr. Rose, I thought she was a great actress in this. I thought she was
fantastic.
Really, she was great. She was great as our lead, who's Kevin Bacon's daughter. Is that who she is?
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then also the cop, Kyle Gallner, who you guys might recognize, he's been in like fucking like every horror movie I've ever seen, pretty much. But he
Which ones?
He was in he was in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake.
Okay.
He was in Jennifer's Body. He was in Scream 5. He was in Ghosts of War, which which we reviewed. He was.
I don't remember what he was in Scream 5. I definitely remember in A Nightmare on Elm Street he plays a stoner kind of main guy.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I think he's serviceable. You know, actually A-Train was kind of off.
Yeah, maybe it's because he's typecast in our mind. Like,
being a dickhead.
I've never seen him in anything else other than A-Train in this. So sometimes that's jarring for.
He was also in the. I'm sorry. Gallner was also in The Cleansing Hour, Steve, which I know you were a big fan of. He was like the main guy in that.
No one remembers what he was in Scream 5.
Hold on, I'll pull him. I can pull him up.
I don't because there's a bunch of kids.
He must have been like a really side character. Oh, okay, he was Vince Schneider.
That does nothing for me.
I know, right?
Schneider. Oh, yeah. Oh, shoot. Nah, he was serviceable. I mean, obviously she carried the movie. She's fantastic.
Oh yeah, definitely. But would you be down for him carrying the next movie?
I kind of have to, right?
Well, not necessarily.
No, you just leave it at that and start somewhere fresh.
Yeah, he could like be passing it on to someone new.
It's just the same movie over again.
Right. It's just we're just gonna see the same movie.
Who had the creepiest smile? Who's your creepiest smile award go to? Oh, he was the bad boy in it. In Scream 5.
In Scream 5? Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, when? Like in the beginning of the movie?
I don't even know. He just looks like a bad boy on there because he's smoking a cigarette and he's like sitting on a car. Whoever does that is a bad
boy. Creepiest smile, the first one.
Smile award.
The very first.
Yeah.
Yeah, the very first girl. Like in the intro, like the one who.
The patient.
The patient. And I think they picked her specifically for that because if I understood correctly, she's also in the short that this is based off.
Oh, so
and that's the only actor that moved on to the movie in the same role. So
good for her.
Yeah, I think, and it's also the iconic one, right? That's the one on the poster. So
yeah, she was definitely the most memorable. Also, justice for the poor dude who was just kind of minding his own business in his own hospital room and gets accosted like twice.
Yeah.
Justice for him.
Justice for homeboy, man. I think the doctor, she had the most awkward smile because it started with her upper lip, and like kind of that was pretty creepy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anything else to six?
Yeah, one of my favorite moments in the movie that has nothing to do with anything, but I really enjoyed it, was when the first time the cop goes to the hospital to see if she's okay, and she leaves, and the nurse is like, she's engaged, right? But I'm single. I love that line. I'm like, hell yeah, dude, go for it.
Get it.
Yeah.
Get that dong. Pass this dong.
I just love that hustle. So shout out to her. She's awesome.
You miss every shot you don't take, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Gretzky, Michael Scott.
Yeah, that's right.
A lot of quotes for Michael Scott tonight.
Always.
Final rating. Steve, you're the lowest. You started up.
Yeah, like I said, it's a passable movie. I didn't hate myself for watching it or anything. I think it's decent. I just don't think it was great, and definitely didn't deserve the hype that it got. But I see what you guys say. Like, I think this is more for a non-horror fan than it is for a horror fan, more for the casual audience, and people watch horror films all the time. So I give it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I don't know why. It should be the type of horror movie I really dislike, but for me, just like, I don't know if it's just because it was well acted or there was some good stuff in here, but for me, mostly everything worked. And I had a really just fun time shutting off my brain and just enjoying kind of like just a basic horror movie. Like it just really worked for me, and I dug it overall. Is it going to make my top 10? No, it's not going to make my top 10, I don't think. But I think it is definitely worth your time and definitely worth a watch. I give it a 7.5 out of 10.
All right, I'm right there with you. 7.5 out of 10. I think it was just no frills, easy horror that had some really good creepy moments, but nothing that's like it'll fucking scar you. Like I could see like a Conjuring 2 scarring some like a young child, but this one, yeah, it was nothing wrong with it in my opinion. It was just easy horror and well acted, and I dug it. So 7.5 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. It went down nice and smooth.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's too bad. I thought the first half hour was great, and then it just went downhill from there. I just don't think it was that interesting after that.
You just don't like smiling, Steve.
I like smiling. I don't know.
As he grimaces.
Well, yeah.
I think, is that 3 weeks in a row we've had like different, because last week it was Todd didn't like Pearl, and I feel like the week before I didn't like something.
It was Freddy versus Jason. It was oh my gosh, Freddy's dead the week before that, so
maybe 2 weeks ago.
We definitely agree that.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what we did before that. That's how.
Me either.
We recorded a long
Hocus
time
Pocus
ago.
2?
No, it was, we did something before.
That. The monsters. I liked it. And you both hated it. So
I can't believe you like that movie. If it's on your top 10, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, and by the way, I think we've all agreed our Hocus Pocus 2 ranks have gone down.
Yeah,
over time.
Ever since our Hocus Pocus event where we watched that movie, I'm like, yeah, Hocus Pocus 2 sucks.
I still wouldn't say it sucked, but
I'll never watch it again.
Well, yeah, you don't need. I mean, why would you?
I'll watch it to set up 3. That's it.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that is going to wrap it up. We hope you enjoyed our review of Smile. Next week, Christmas comes to the Horror Squad podcast as we are going to review Santa's Sleigh, starring WCW /WWE wrestler Bill Goldberg. Steve's really been clamoring us to watch this one, and me and Todd are finally going to sit down
non-stop every week. Go watch Goldberg.
Yeah.
So go and
somebody.
There's nothing like a fucking Jewish Santa. It's like perfect. So
go and check out Santa's Sleigh. So yeah, I think that's about it, guys. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the Horror Squad podcast. Follow us on all of our social medias. The best way, though, of course, is our Discord. Just send us a private message on any of our social medias, and we will send you that Discord link. You can also do it the old-fashioned way and send us some snail mail, the Horror Squad podcast at gmail.com. If you would like to do the archaic way of emails. And I guess that is about it. We'll see you guys next week for Santa's Sleigh.
All right.
See ya.
Bye-bye.